Just finished a run earlier. It was shorter than usual. Everything has been slow. Just a long run around 16 kilometers and a few shorter intervals. Anyway, this is the Xtep 2000km 5.0. I've already had around 70 kilometers with this one now, and these are my first impressions. Over 70 kilometers in this one now. First run was a 9-kilometer run, and that's where I started to understand the foam. It did improve over time, but it wasn't like there was something new that I found or it changed a lot. Basically, it's still the same, just with some minor improvements. I'd say it's really better than when it was new. For one, it's more flexible now. I really like the Wind 3 TR last year, and it's kind of similar, though the Wind 3 TR was much more flexible. This one does have a medial support and a bit firmer here in the side, but still has that good forefoot flex. Second thing that I noticed was the mushiness. There's that rubbery kind of feel to the outsole, which I think is doing that. It really adds to the mushiness aside from these cutouts here, like they're here at the bottom. It does give it a sense of a dense, kind of a mushy feel. There's a bit less of that density here in the middle, and I kind of think that it's giving a better response. Like versus when it was new, it was pretty mushy, like I was stepping on something very tender, like some thick slab of meat. It felt a bit lighter after that first run, and ever since then, again, the response has gotten much better. So with the last 2 to 3 weeks, I did some strides during my easy runs, and it was just this week where I started getting back into shorter intervals like you'd see on 5K programs. These strides was just to wake up the foam like at the beginning of the run, and it did really respond well. Kind of like I'm telling it to, hey, let's go speed it up. And the foam responds like, okay, but let's do it in 1, 2, 3. It does kind of take a bit. Very responsive shoes would respond like, oh, wanna go fast? That's what very responsive shoes would do. This one isn't that responsive really. Like you can still feel the ground, still feel some pop, not as much as well-known responsive or very good up-tempo shoes. For a daily trainer, I think the responsiveness is good enough. The previous generations were, I would say, responsive but not that squishy. They were firmer and stiffer. You did get good snappiness out of them, but they weren't really everyone's cup of tea. Now with this one, pretty soft, does have some resilience, like the middle of the foam, not marshmallowy kind of a mushy, but like a lean flank steak. And I hope you get what I mean. The resilience more like enough to not squish all the way down, also not really holding you back. Does have a bit of energy return to at least pop out a little bit when you're doing your strides or doing your faster paces. But it is a very mellow shoe, really a daily trainer feel now rather than a snappy up-tempo one. And when this was new, when I would hit on uneven ground like on rocks or raised pavements, especially the midfoot here, you really kind of feel something there. It doesn't really fully compress. Now as I've used it for quite a bit, I did kind of lose that sensation there in the midfoot, kind of more seamless now. You do get a sharper ground feel from very responsive shoes. There's also no real correction either, since the heel is pretty soft, so you might think this would be unstable, but it really isn't. The stability system here really does work. It's just that I don't really feel it. It really is quite seamless. Now, the foam does firm up under load, especially on the medial side. The lateral side is still squishier, but once it holds its max compression, it does kind of stop giving in. Like when you squish it, there really is that sort of resistance that you can feel there. It doesn't really feel overly squishy. Like when I'm standing and just trying to compress it, it is squishy, but when you're running, it does firm up a bit, so it's a bit more stable. Apart from that, you won't really bottom out in this one unless you're pretty overweight for your foot size. Again, the middle does firm up, and the nylon plate here seems a bit lower feeling, but when I took out the insole, the nylon plate is really here at the top. Like basically there's no footbed in here. You can just see that thin layer of cloth. Somehow it still feels cushioned without needing a thicker footbed, and honestly I barely noticed it. Side to side stability, it's doing something, but at the same time it really feels natural. Like I said, I can't really feel any correction, and the stability system really here just feels seamless, like it's not doing anything. Once the foam settled after a few runs, I didn't notice that I was hanging around a lot in that soft compressive kind of sensation. The more flexible it got, the turnover was quicker. The compression is quite a bit short, but it doesn't mask the ground feel very well. Third thing that's improved, it's not the same kind of of a mushy soft than before. Because before, when you land smack the midfoot and then to forefoot area, it was kind of more like slapping. But right now, it's more like an even distribution. And when you land sideways, it's kind of like very flexible here as well. So it's not a slappy shoe, and I actually like it that doesn't make that much noise as well. So not much feel of a deep and squishy compression. It's flexible, an early rocker. You don't really have much time to hang around for that cushiony kind of compression. So I'd say it really has improved after more runs. Kind of feels lighter on my feet. When I'm not minding my form and get all slappy, it really is that mellow instead of a pop off your toe kind of feel. Again, it is mushier with some resilience. The medial part has gotten a bit softer. It's not as stiffer feeling, especially in the arch, but it still holds up, so you really won't collapse inward even if it's gotten a bit softer. I think what's just gotten softer is this cutout here, so you do get a bit more mushier kind of feel, which is really kind of a nice sensation. I don't know how to describe it, but there's that sensation when you hit that shorter kind of mush, like kind of runs up your body. Anyway, as I said, the response has gotten better, feels lighter on my feet. There's a slight pop when you're doing your strides, but it's not a very responsive shoe still. Don't expect it to be like a Boston 12 or Boston 13 level kind of response and snappiness. This is a more mellow, mushier, but also not a dead or kind of like those mushy shoes that I don't really like, that they feel dead or they feel flat. This one just sits right in the middle. So for a daily trainer, it really is balanced if you're into the softer, cushiony kind of thing. Anyway, if this stays as is longer, what you get is a cushioned, semi-resilient, good response for a daily trainer. Not exciting energy return, but it has a good enough return for a typical daily trainer. I think this covers my first impressions. My extra thoughts, I do have one issue above the toes here. The upper does sort of fold and pokes above my toes, but it's only sometimes, and it's only on the other shoe actually. Comes and goes, not really a deal breaker, but worth noting. I can't really replicate it every run. Sometimes it doesn't happen, sometimes it does. Anyway, I'm really liking this shoe, even though the stack height isn't that high. I forgot to add that this is around 30. I kind of forgot. It's 32 in the forefoot and 38 to the heel. So yeah, cushioned, good enough compression, doesn't really collapse. There's a lot of tension in the middle, so I mean the resilience. While it is a bit mushier, it's not fatiguing. And also, I haven't done a proper long run yet. I did some 16-kilometer runs, but they were more of the LSD type. But I've been doing recovery, easy, some shorter intervals and quick strides. This really has worked well and may not be that flush or not max cushioned, but this one's really good enough for me. For the price, I really do think it's a very good all-around shoe. If you found the Li-Ning Qiaodan 4 Pro a bit bulkier, it did have a more exciting top foam and a bland bottom foam just to make it a bit more mellow. But if you really found that a bit clunky, I think you're gonna like this. It's a good all-around shoe, doesn't really check the boxes of being a good fast shoe, doesn't check the boxes of being a good cushion shoe. Just in the middle if you really like that more pleasant, relaxed kind of a sensation. So yeah, for the price, I think this was around 2,500 pesos when I bought it. Really a good deal for an all-around shoe. Nothing really surprising you or exciting you, just as a typical trainer should do. I'll update once I go over 150 kilometers, but for now, the 70 kilometers, there's no wear in the outsole yet. Yeah, by the way, I forgot. It's not that grippy or tacky, but it's good enough traction. Anyway, that's it. Keep running, stay fit or stay swole, and always be kind.